Welcome to Pachehra Talks. My name is Arun and I'm Solutions Architect MCT, currently working with Novin Tech, which is one of the best organizations to work with. And today we are going to talk about Azure Firewall features in our Security Specialist series. And this is my channel and these are my views. So we talked about firewall in our previous video security specific specialist series. And now we are going to talk about Azure Firewall. Well, Azure offers firewall in three SKUs: basic, standard, and premium. So premium has all those advanced features that usually or we talk about all the time, but we choose this queue as per our need. But to cover all the features that Azure Firewall offers, we are going to focus upon Azure Firewall premium features because premium has all the features that Azure Firewall provides. We'll see at the end the different SKUs has different features, but prior to that, let's understand all those wonderful features because we want to use Azure Firewall. And we also made points why we need firewall in our previous video. So Azure Firewall Premium offers advanced security features that build upon the standard Azure Firewall capabilities, providing enhanced protection, particularly for highly sensitive and regulated environments. So let's go one by one. We need to explore these features in pretty detail. The very first is because if we know all these features, we can talk about it with our customers. We know why we are going to use these services provided by Azure. So very first feature is TLS inspection, which is also known as SSL inspection. So what it is, first of all, we need to understand the concept behind it. Well, it's a process where encrypted traffic is decrypted. Okay, let me try to make a point here. There is an encrypted traffic. What would happen? It will decrypt. Okay, decrypted, inspected for threats or compliance because it is decrypted. Now, what we can do? We can inspect. If we cannot understand, how can we inspect? But once it is decrypted, we can inspect for threats or compliance. Okay, that's what we can do. Then And then what we'll do, we'll re-encrypt it because we don't want to send the unencrypted data. Then we will encrypt it as it moves to its destination. Okay, so this is crucial. This is crucial because without TLS inspection, encrypted traffic would be a blind spot for security devices. Why? Because encrypted means we can't understand what is going on and what is happening. Okay. But once it's decrypted, we can inspect and then we can encrypt it again and send it to its destination. Right. So that's why this is very important. TLS, SSL inspection. So if it is not decrypted, then this will pass through unnoticed, the malicious content because it is encrypted. So this allow Azure Firewall to inspect encrypted web traffic to prevent malware transmission exfiltration. We can understand it with this example. Let's consider a scenario where an employee attempts to download a file from seemingly reputable website while connected to the corporate network. So this guy sitting here is trying to access uh, something from a reputable website while connected to the corporate network because it is inside the corporate network, let's suppose. Okay. Now, unknown to this employee, the file is infected with the malware because it is coming from internet. This file is coming from internet too because this guy is downloading. Okay. So the point is there is something in between firewall, right? So what will happen? This firewall will simply say, hey, where you going? Come here. Let me inspect you. And it has TLS inspection enabled on the Azure Firewall. The encrypted traffic between the employee's computer and the website is decrypted by the firewall. The firewall inspects the content. Now it can because it is decrypted, identifies the malware, blocks the file and the file download, and alerts the security team. That's not it. It will alert the team. Without TLS inspection, the encrypted download would proceed unchecked, potentially compromising the network. That's why this is very important, and this is provided by Azure Firewall Premium. All right, so this is one of the wonderful feature. What is this next feature that we should be aware of in pretty good detail is IDPS, which is talked about all the time when you talk about security with enterprises or the organizations which are actually serious about their security, which is intrusion detection and prevention system. Intrusion detection and prevention. So IDPS combines these two major functionalities, which monitors network and system activities for malicious actions or policy violations, and intrusion prevention, which actively blocks or prevents those detected threats from carrying out their intended actions. Okay, so essentially, IDPS acts as a watchdog or a gatekeeper, ensuring that only safe traffic is allowed through while keeping threats at bay. Or, in simple terms, it monitors network and system activities for malicious activities or policy violation. Okay, malicious activities and policy violation, and accordingly, and it can also log that information. Okay, and accordingly, the kind of settings you have configured, it can block, like prevent. So what it is doing, it is detecting, and it can also prevent. So prevent or block the intrusion and report it and report it. So it is a great feature. We can understand it further through this example. Suppose there is an attempt to exploit a known vulnerability in a web application hosted in Azure. The IDPS or IDs and IPs feature of Azure Firewall can detect this attempt using known signatures or anomalies and take action to block the traffic, preventing the exploit from reaching the application. So that's how it works. A good feature, great one. So let me highlight this one so that we know we talked about it. Another one. Very good. Now, what else? Another one is known web categories. This is more like helpful in management, but very important. How? Because web categories in Azure Firewall utilizes a continuously updated database that classifies websites into categories based on their content. So administrators can create a rules that allow or block access to these categories. This approach streamlines web access management and ensures that policies remain effective even as new websites emerge or existing sites change their content. Okay, so in simple terms, it allows administrators to allow or deny user access to website, allow or deny website categories, because it gives you database which is continuously updated. Rather you're doing a single website blocking and allow, you can utilize the categories such as category of social media, category of gambling website, category of adult website. So simplifying the management of web filtering rule. Yes, simplifying. So that is what I said at the beginning, simplifying management of web uh, filtering rules. This is what it is used for, and we need that. To be honest, we don't want our administrators to just stay there checking all those filtering and working manually and wasting a lot of time and also prone to human errors. So web categories. Then there is another one which is URL filtering. So, as the name says, that's what it does. It involves specifying allow or deny rules, just like web categories. But here we are talking about accessing specific URLs. Okay, so unlike web categories, which group websites into broad categories, URL filtering targets individual web pages or web pages or domains. That's what the difference between URL filtering and web category is. So this allow for precise control over web access, ensuring that users can reach only the content that's deemed safe and relevant to their work. In simple terms, it offers the ability to allow or deny access to specific URLs, not just entire domains, providing more granular control over web access. With this simple example, you can understand github.com is allowed, but github.com/ malicious repo is blocked. It's more specific. Okay, good. So URL filtering is covered, and then we have another feature which is FQDN tags. And where we use it, use it while configuring network rules. Okay. All right. So what it does and how it helps us? Well, this FQDN tags are predefined identifiers in Azure Firewall rules that represent a group of domain names for specific Azure services, such as any guesses? If you're guessing Azure Storage, Azure SQL, or PaaS services, then you are correct, including Windows Update. So when a network rule is created with an FQDN tag, Azure Firewall automatically allows or denies traffic based on the domains associated with that tag, facilitating the configuration process and ensuring traffic to these services is correctly filtered without the need to specify each domain manually. So, in simple terms, it enables the use of FQDN in network rule definition, simplifying the creation of rules for all well-known Azure services. Azure services. If you are thinking service tag, yeah, it's like that. So, just to make a point, let's take an example of an organization which can easily create a network rule that allow Azure backup without needing to know all the IP addresses associated with the Azure backup services by using the FQDN tags for Azure backup. Very good. So see, this is the feature of cloud native Azure Firewall. So that is one of the reasons that you would like to use Azure Firewall over any other NBA. Well, NBA has their own benefits of using it. We can talk about the criteria to choose Azure Firewall or NBA or other way around. Anyways, the next one is the custom DNS. Yes, custom DNS in Azure Firewall enables the specification of one or more DNS servers that the firewall uses for resolving DNS queries instead of using the default DNS settings. Yes, this feature is particularly useful for integrating with on-premises DNS servers or third-party DNS services, allowing for seamless domain name resolution across cloud and on-premises environment for enforcing specific DNS policies. We can make a point here just to understand. Let's suppose this is your on-premises. Okay, this is your on-premises. and this is their DNS server. Okay, now this machine try something, then how the traffic will go? It will go to the firewall and it will, okay, it needs to talk to the DNS, then it will send the DNS, and that's how the information can go. Is it a best practice to apply this? I'm not talking about that. That we will cover in our architecture, or we have already covered in our architecture series. But that's how this DNS thing, custom DNS thing through Azure Firewall works. This is what I'm just trying to explain the concept. Okay. All right. So, in simple terms, it allows specific custom DNS server for domain name resolution, enabling Azure Firewall to use your own DNS. And this example, like a company can configure Azure Firewall Premium to use their internal DNS server for name resolution, ensuring that access to internal application through their domain name is resolved correctly within their network. So this is not the only thing, but if it is only Azure, even then this wants to talk to DNS, it can come here and it will divert to the DNS server. Let's suppose this is DNS. That's how it can work internally as well. All right, so DNS proxy, that is the another feature of Azure Firewall, DNS proxy. So, as the name says, that's what it is. It's a DNS proxy in Azure Firewall, which serves as a DNS forwarder. Yes, DNS forwarder. Intercepting DNS queries from virtual machine or the resources within virtual network and forwarding them to specific or specified DNS servers. This setup is particularly beneficial when using custom DNS settings in Azure Firewall, as it ensures all DNS requests adhere to the customer organization specified DNS policies. Okay. So in simple terms, it acts as a DNS server or forwarding DNS request to the specified DNS server and caching the responses for the efficiency. Let's take an example. By acting as a DNS proxy, Azure Firewall Premium can efficiently manage DNS requests for a large enterprise, reducing latency, improving response time for the DNS queries. Okay. All right. So another one is support for TLS 1.3. Yes. Transport layer security. TLS 1.3 support in Azure Firewall ensures that the firewall can inspect, allow, and secure traffic encrypted using the latest TLS standard. Okay. With TLS 1.3, firewall can participate in the secure communication process by facilitating encrypted session between client and the servers. This is crucial for scenarios where deep packet inspection and filtering of encrypted traffic are required for security and compliance purposes. So in simple terms, it supports the latest TLS 1.3 protocol for secure communication, providing improved security and performance. We can take an example to understand when an organization's services communicate with external APIs over HTTPS. Azure Firewall Premium ensures that these connections can leverage TLS 1.3, offering stronger encryption and faster handshake times. Now, one of the most important feature is threat intelligence. Yes, it comes with Azure Firewall and powered by the Microsoft Threat Intelligence, a comprehensive database compiled from various sources, including Microsoft products and services, law enforcement agencies, and security partners. This database includes information on IP addresses and domains associated with the malware, phishing, botnets, and other cyber threats. By integrating this intelligence, Azure Firewall can proactively prevent communication between these known malicious entities, thereby adding an additional layer of security to protect Azure resources. So it's a comprehensive database which is used to block the malicious entities or prevent. Okay. We can understand this with this example. Let's consider a scenario where an employee accidentally clicks on a phishing link in an email that attempts to connect to a known malicious server. Now, Azure Firewall, with its threat intelligence features enabled, would inspect this outbound connection attempt, uh, recognizing the server's IP address in the Microsoft Threat Intelligence database. Azure Firewall would block the connection attempt, preventing the employee's device from communicating with the attacker's server. This action would be logged, and security administrators could review the attempt, further reinforcing the importance of ongoing security awareness trainings. So, in conclusion, Azure Firewall's threat intelligence feature is a powerful tool for automatically identifying and blocking traffic to and from known malicious entities. By leveraging Microsoft's extensive threat intelligence data, Azure Firewall helps secure Azure environment against a wider range of cyber threats. Well, with this, these are almost all these are very advanced, great features, which are the reason like we should use Azure Firewall. Okay, but apart from these, we talked about at the beginning. This is a PaaS service. This is service where a lot of things are managed by Microsoft. So there are some benefits come from there. And what are these benefits? Can anybody guess? Well, if you are guessing built-in high availability, then you are correct. It comes with the built-in high availability with no additional cost, eliminating the need for complex HS setup and ensuring that your network security is always up and running. One more thing, just like any other PaaS services, built-in scalability. Yes, it can scale automatically with your network traffic, ensuring that your security measures scale with your Azure deployment. So these are some other great features comes with the Azure Firewall that you need not to think for all the time or prepare for it. So it also minimize the admin overhead that we talked about in our previous videos. So yes, with this, we have covered almost all the great features of Azure Firewall. Now, it's just a silly question, maybe interesting, because we know firewall now. In the first video, we talked about firewall, its benefits. Then we talked about all the features of Azure Firewall. So it's lots of firewall. Now, what would happen if we do not, if we don't use firewall? Well, we explained a lot of things in our previous video just for fun, so that it will stay with you. It will stay with you. Let me make it red, okay? Because this is something we don't want to do. So what would happen? Well, things will happen like your environment is open, so it will increase vulnerability. Without a firewall, your network is more vulnerable to unauthorized access, attacks, and data breaches. You would lack centralized control over inbound and outbound traffic. You will failure to protect your network adequately could lead to non-compliance with industry regulation and penalties, 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 and the reputation would be on tosh. Then increased risk of downtime and service disruption due to cyber attacks or unauthorized accesses, right? So without the integrated threat intelligence and logging capabilities, detecting and responding to threats becomes more challenging. Potentially, you will be screwed up. So, firewall is something that you should use in your environment. There are multiple SKUs that we talked about. Let me show you. Right. So these are the three SKUs: firewall basic, standard, and premium. These are the various features you can choose accordingly. If you do not need advanced threat protection, which comes with the premium, you only need basic, then you can go with the basic and standard. Standard gives you web content filtering and DNS proxy along with threat intelligence. If you have a simple environment, you don't care about these things, go with the basic. Less money, less features, but it might suffice your requirement. You get to these three more features, little more cost, but it may require by environment. This is something which will help you to maintain the compliance and a lot of other stuff in your environment, and it is more secure. So accordingly, you need to choose as per the features provided by these firewalls and as per the cost involved, as per the requirement, because ultimately it's a business, it's a trade-off, and that's all. Well, thank you for watching. I hope it was interesting and you learned something new today. It was informative. Well, thank you for watching and you guys have a wonderful day. Bye bye.